This is Pokalainu, and you are listening to Hawaiian Potpourri on KWAI 1080 on your AM dial. And today is the 27th day of October in the year 2012. The time now is 9 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Aloha Hawaii, welcome to the program, or welcome back to the program. We have been talking about the role of race, the role of religion in the political campaign for presidency. I note that we do have a caller on the line. If you would like to call and join us in our discussion, the telephone number is 524-1080. I'll be more than happy to put you on the air and give you an opportunity to share your observations and opinions. All right, so let's go to our caller. Aloha caller, welcome to the program. Hello caller, you're on the air. Okay, hang on, don't go away. Maybe something that I'm not doing correctly here. I have been known to screw things up once in a while, but I can't find the reason for it. So let me put you on hold and let me try to buzz you in again. Hello, caller, are you there? Okay, I'm not getting a response. So at this point, I'm going to ask that you call back. We had spoken about in the last hour the issue of the role of race and religion. The race issue is essentially the black-white issue, and religion, we talked about the variation in religion, a comparison of the Jews and why the campaign is staying away from the Jewish issue and why they aren't coming out and simply saying that what Israel is trying to push the United States into is not appropriate. And I believe that at least Obama should be saying it quite explicitly, but he hasn't. And there is this possible fear of the number of Jews, the number of Jewish votes, and all that stuff. So the analysis that I read that came out of the Nation magazine, I thought was very interesting and very important to be clear of that analysis. The other point that was mentioned was the difference between Mormons and Christians, and the presumption, although not being made an issue at this time, is whether or not a non-Christian could lead the United States, and that is Mitt Romney. So as you divide the issue between religion, you have on one hand a black Christian as opposed to a white non-Christian. So it's all kind of interesting, what do you call it, interpolations or different views of all of these things. So let's go to our telephone line. Our telephone number here is 524-1080. Give me a call. We'll put you on the radio. Let's see what our caller has. Aloha caller, welcome to the program.
Well, Polka, since no one's calling, I'll call again.
Go ahead. You're welcome to call.
I was going to suggest using the word Zionist or Zionism in referring to Israel, because the word Jew has really received really bad PR, and it's been said with contempt so many times that is very difficult, I think, to use it. So I would rather refer to the type of government in Israel, which is Zionism, and that's a movement of nationalism, which we know is very dangerous, as we've all experienced and are experiencing now in our own country. So I think if we could move the discussion to using that word in preference to the other, it's still, even, especially to me coming from the East Coast, when I hear the word Jew, it always it makes my back kind of tighten, because it was always used in a bad way back there. So that's just a suggestion, so that we won't be called anti-Semitic just because we're criticizing the Zionist government.
Yes.
When we are automatically. I mean, if you say anything against Israel, you're automatically called anti-Semitic. So I think that's a real problem, and that may be why a lot of people don't speak up, because they don't want to have to defend themselves against that sort of thing. And maybe some of us are unconsciously. I don't see how we could grow up in a racist, sexist society and not have part of that in our mindset. I like people to correct me if I use any terms or anything like that, because it was so deeply ingrained in me to have all these prejudices. That's why I went so far away from it. I mean, I couldn't get far enough away. So that's, I had some further comments, but I really can't remember what it was we were talking about before.
Well, if you have any more, be sure to call back. Don't hesitate.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for your call.
Bye-bye.
Aloha. And I think that's a very instructive, very important contribution to this discussion. The term Zionism, which is oftentimes confused with the generalized term Jews or Judaism. And I am in complete agreement with Sister who pointed this out. It seems like a very important, I don't want to call it game, but an important analytical requirement for us to be clear about how we walk in this society, especially with so much politics, that we do the appropriate analysis. And at times, the language that we use, the names that we use are helpful to us to break down the analysis. And just by the introduction of the term Zionism to the discussion, you can recategorize the underlying issue. And without the support of such language, it's harder to fully appreciate the issues themselves. So I very much appreciate that clarity that she has just called in and made. Here's another example of that kind of clarity, and I read this at page 10 by Gary Young spelled with an E at the end, and it comes from the Nation magazine, page 10, of that same issue that I had spoken of in the last half hour, and that is the October 22nd issue. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he's talking about, well, this is what interests me, and it's, I think, beneath the radar is what the article is about. And reading a portion of the article, he says, in his diary, Nixon's chief of staff, Bob Haldeman, described the operational blueprint for a new electoral landscape built on bigotry. Quote, "You have to face the fact that the whole problem is really the blacks," Nixon told him. "The key is to devise a system that recognizes that while not appearing to." Wow. Recognizing that the dividing issue or the key, the real problem is the blacks, but to speak around it, to beat around the bush, to be able to develop a finesse such that you, in back of your mind, recognize that fact, and yet in public you are not appearing to do so. I guess that's the whole strategy of plausible deniability. To sort of, it's that idea of winking, saying, yeah, we know really what we are talking about, and yet not coming out explicitly with such a statement. I think some of that also goes on in the international level. There was a statement made by Gorbachev to Ronald Reagan as they talked about getting rid of some of the nerve gas and let's ship them off to a remote atoll in the Pacific, which was our Johnson Atoll or Kalama Atoll. And they said that we will ship it to a remote atoll so that it will be safe from everyone. Everyone meaning, of course, Caucasians or Europeans. And this was a meeting that was held in Japan between these two heads of state. And as Gorbachev leaned over to Reagan, and he says, after all, we are both Europeans. Now, what is that supposed to mean? Not coming out explicitly, but just pretending that it's a remote atoll. And it's so remote from Europe, that's a subtext, so remote from Europe and from the Americas. But that's okay if the people out there in the Pacific are the brownies, or the blacks, or the slant eyes, or the yellows, or whatever it is. And that is a statement, especially when he comes back with that second statement. After all, we are both Europeans. So it's that racism that continues to pervade the politics, the economics, the war machines, carrying plausible deniability as Nixon comes in and identifies it or explains it. Okay. This is Poka Lai Nui. Our telephone number is 524-1080. If you would like to share an opinion, give me a call and I'll put you on the radio. Let's go to our next caller. Aloha caller, welcome to the program.
Oh, good afternoon, Poka.
Yes, good afternoon.
One day you had somebody on the air talking about Divest UH Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever any follow-through with that issue?
I had not heard of any action taken after that, and I do recall that program where I had people. Was it people coming on to the program?
Yeah,
but anyway,
I
they read
think
that statement.
they were in the studio.
Yes, I believe they were. That's correct. Yeah, but I have not heard anything that followed from raising that issue.
Yeah, I haven't heard or read anything about it. Mm-hmm. Well, what really did you get from that? What were they wanted to divest?
They wanted to divest all investments, just as there were investments in South Africa, and because of the apartheid policies, they wanted to push to divest in Israel, and all corporations that were investing in Israel, the University of Hawaii should pull their funds out and not support that kind of activities. And they were especially wanting to go after, I believe it was the retirement funding, I believe was also another target that they wanted to get at. Because of the Israeli policy against Palestine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But you don't know what they really were specific about, huh?
They were not specific about what fund that they should be addressing and divesting from that particular fund. It was more a general statement, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I've been looking at the UH Foundation report for 2012, and they have about $200,000, and it's invested in just like a regular mutual fund.
Mm-hmm.
So unless, the people who were talking on your program about divest, unless they can be real specific,
yeah,
I don't see how they can get the foundation to divest anything specific to,
yes,
to the Israel situation.
Yeah. Sometimes they have what they call screens, and one is an environmental screen, another is the, screen against weapon investments, and I don't know if someone has created a screen for Israeli investments. But generally, I think what they're talking about is not identifying any fund, but creating and following one of these screens so that whoever puts up the screen and does that investigation, then you follow the companies that are named or the funds that are named to divest from. But if you say it's only been $200,000 of investment, it's so small that it would only be position or it would only be more like a public statement rather than having any real impact in the divestment for $200,000.
Yeah, this UH Foundation Fund, it started quite way back, when they were building the Student Center building. They wrote me a letter, asked me to give a few dollars more, and I did. And they put my name on a bronze plaque and set it in concrete.
So you cannot deny it anymore.
Yeah, so, if they want to get that's something that's really important.
Yeah.
I might have to, decide whether I want to go with the divestment or stick with the fund.
Yeah.
I don't want them to erase my name. So that's for posterity, right?
Yeah.
Future generation, our family gotta remember, hey, one of our ancestors.
Yeah.
Gave a few dollars early on. You know what they gave long ago? It's just a drop in the bucket. When they take in about 15, 16, 17 million dollars a year now, and
maybe that's why their investments are so small, because they're paying off the people who they have fired inappropriately.
Yeah, they pay all that, and they pay for trips,
Yeah.
to all the different seminars they get, and they disperse a lot of money. But their money, some of it goes to the football, expenses.
But the scholarship program and the rest.
Mostly it's for helping students and faculty. So I wish you can you get in contact with the people.
I will look and see. I don't recall them offhand, but I can go through my notes and I can try to find out and give you an update the next time it'll be next week at the earliest.
Yeah, when it comes to Israel, most of the people, whether it's a local or national talk shows, most of the people are anti-Semitics, and very few people willing to come on and talk for the Israeli side. Like this Palestinian thing, there are what you call religious programs that they talk about the subject, right? And what I understand is there really is no such person as a Palestinian. Did you know that?
I think it's more, I don't think that is the case. I've met Palestinians who identify themselves as Palestinians.
But what is their ethnic background?
They come from Palestine. They have lived in that particular area. And I'm not clear what their ancestry is or how they got there, but they have been there for at least 3,000 years. And I don't know any further background, just as I would not have any further background with regards to the Phoenicians and others, but they are people of that particular area, and I believe that the Jews were also living in that area.
Yeah, the Jews and these so-called Palestinians lived together side by side all those 3,000 years.
Yeah, but I don't think you would call the Jews Palestinians, nor do I believe that you would call the Palestinians Jews, because they had a separate identity, separate religious beliefs, and that is part of what identifies them as either Palestinians or Jews. So I don't think we can, erase the existence of the Palestinians, although the Jews would like to, by saying that they were there at a particular time and then they left. The Palestinians are saying, yeah, but we've been here all the time and never left.
Yeah, but you see, remember Arafat?
Arafat, yeah. Okay.
Yasser Arafat.
Yes.
Of the PLO.
Mm-hmm.
They asked him one time, who are the Palestinians?
Mm-hmm.
And he named a certain group,
Yeah.
And the questioner said, you realize that God, wanted all that group completely eliminated. So Alpha back up and said, no, we're not the people after all,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you correctly. Repeat that again.
Arafat was asked, who are the Palestinians?
Yes.
So he named a certain group according to the Bible. But the questioner said, God wanted that group completely wiped out by the Jews. So Arafat had to back down, right?
I don't know.
Well, that's according to, this Christian talk show, radio program. So this Palestinian thing, you cannot have two separate states when they all claim to be living in Palestine. But you say again the name Palestine. The Romans, named the place Palestine. There was really no Palestine before that.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm watching the clock, and because I'm almost in the half hour, I want to continue with this discussion, but I'm going to have to take a break, and then why don't you call back after the break?
I hope you get hold of those people and see.
Okay. And
them come on and be specific what they want to divest.
Okay. Thanks for your call.
Yeah,
take
bye.
care. Aloha.
Kaulana nā pua o Hawaii Tūpa'a mahope o ka aina Iki mai ka elele o ka loko ino Pala pala anunu me ka paka Pane mai Hawaii moku o ke ave Koku ana honoa o Pilani Ka ko'o mai kaua I o mano Pa'aku me ke oni o ka kuhi hewa Aolea e kau I ka pulima Maluna o ka pepa o ka enemi Ho'ohui ai nā ku ai hewa I ka pono sivila a